Hey everybody, Coach Chris Cotton here from AutoFix-Auto Shop Coaching and of course the AutoFix Technology Cast. Today we have Jeremy from AppFueled with us, and this is one I've really been interested in. Some of the questions I have are, why should I use an app? I know years ago people were using apps and they worked, they didn't work, whatever. But anyway, I'm going to let Jeremy introduce himself, and we're going to take it from there.
Hi, Chris. Thanks a lot for having me on here. Yeah, people have, they've stumbled across AppFuel in a lot of different ways. One of them is they might find, you might have heard this, Chris. Some people call me the original mobile app ninja. It turns out there's a couple side nicknames I have, but I'll stick with that one. It's essentially, man, I get the sense that industries have found a way in the hospitality realm to use apps, and I call them ninja tricks. That's what I call them. Right? I kind of like a playbook, Chris, 33 ninja tricks of the way hospitality businesses use apps. And that's just what we've been working on. So AppFuelds has been a gift from God to be a part, really just to own this company. It was 2008 when my daughter was born. Out of that, there's kind of a funny story with her stuffed animal that inspired some of the app fueled ideas. But I started in the industry back in 2004, launched
Oh,
out,
wow.
kind
Okay.
of went after this fundraising idea, called it Oil for Kids, out in King County, out in Seattle. If any of you remember me from back then, and it just what it takes to get today's modern consumer. And back then, right, I was just coming out of a .com, kind of entering into that, pretty young guy at the time, a lot of gray hair now, but coming into that zone in Seattle, probably the high tech city of the day, right, in that .com era, and
Right.
to go out and go, whoa, there's an opportunity here to get consumers to do things they don't normally do. So that's a little bit of just where I'm at. I'm a little bit of a disruptor. That's why I kind of like the ninja title, just doing roundhouse kicks like Chuck Norris in the app space.
So, funny thing, I grew up in the same town Chuck Norris was born in Ryan, Oklahoma.
Well, right, so you can claim
Yep.
more of it than me.
And as a mobile app ninja, that makes you the man, right? Like the MAN. So, um,
Could be.
uh, yeah. So what was, like, this has nothing to do with our podcast, but just interesting now. So, what was Seattle like in those days?
Oh, well, I mean, the Emerald City, the Jet City, it's had all the cool nicknames. It definitely wasn't the Seattle, I think, that, some of it, with Chaz and some of the political things going on inside Seattle. But I mean, back then, and I think it still remains today, the tech talent in that city is outrageous. Just like amazing thinkers, amazing engineers. And what was going on though for me, just specifically, why were we there? I got called out to work at a .com. They were attempting to take chemical distribution into the .com era. And what's
Okay.
fascinating, even back then in the .com world, I got this job, and you know what I found myself doing, Chris? I was making outbound phone sales calls working for a .com, and I think that just kind of sums up even where AppFueled is today. Here we are in 2025. What have we been doing the last 12 months? Phone call technology. And so although you can, fast forward 2 decades or go back to the most .com city on the planet, and what were we doing? We were making phone calls. And so I love that about it, and I can get into that maybe later. It depends on how we get going in this time together, Chris. But apps are not alone. Although yes, original mobile app ninja, this is why we're called app fueled. In no sense would I go around and walk around and going, hey, you've got, if you get an app, guys, you have the silver bullet to success. I mean, absolutely not. In fact, I have hundreds of stories of apps not working, of apps failing, of apps not doing what the hopes and dreams were of the app. So apps are, man, app is what it is. It's one of the communication mediums that today's consumers use to repeat buy. And I don't know if you noticed I said that, Chris. Like, in my opinion, apps are still not a new customer acquisition tool. Even today,
Right.
16 years after the iPhone launch, I still don't think most companies, and really any company, uses app as a way to go get a new customer. If I'm going to go acquire a brand new guy in my town, get him to come to my shop, it's not going to be through an app store search.
Right. And so, yeah. So here's the thing. I run like 4 different businesses virtually, remotely, electronically. So I have apps on my phone, everything else. Like,
Okay.
what's the criteria for an app to be on my first page? Like if I pull up my,
Good
like if
question.
I, because to me, if
Yeah,
it's
let's
not on
take
the
a look.
first page, it's not usable, right? Like how how do I get a customer to have their app here? Like where, like how does that happen, or is that even a thought?
So you operate on. Let me get your premise here. The context of the question. You're saying if it's not on the first page of the phone, it's not a useful app.
Or I'm not going to use it as often, right? Like if it's not on the
Okay.
front of it, like how, as somebody that, as a shop owner that would purchase app fueled, or as a person that would use app fueled, how important is it to be there, or maybe it's not important, and if it is important, how do we make sure our app is on the front page? And I probably skipped a lot to get to there, and I know I hit you with that out of left field, but it's
Oh
just something
no,
that came across.
I actually appreciate the question. To be honest, I've never quite attempted to answer that. How targeted of a question it is, but I love where you're going. So man, let's back it up a bit. What can I back it up before I answer that question or attempt to?
Sure.
What what is it that an app is actually doing different than the other mediums?
Right.
So that's the question that I hang out in. So it's a little bit of a different question than is that medium going to be on my screen's homepage? I, I'm messing around in the world of psychology. So that's what I believe this medium does, a little different than if you think of traditional CRM tools, phone
Right.
calls, texting, postcards, right? Go down the list of whatever are the great CRMs in our industry are doing.
Right.
Text reminder, maybe the guy making a well-timed phone call, right, for your next oil change. Who knows what that next CRM maneuver is? But in a sense, the app is doing something different psychologically than any of those mediums are doing. Those mediums, in my opinion, are a reaction. It's prompting a reaction. And so how I think an app is used in the psychological realm is we're winning, whether it's on the first page or not, right, Chris? Because that's your question. But is it winning the battle of the mind? And so in an app world, think about what it takes. Like I know for me, I don't go. I like to say this. Let me even say this: apps don't download themselves. People do.
Right.
And I love to think about that. That's where I hang out. This is where my head is every day because I know for me, Chris, if I go to a retail outfit, I'm not downloading an app. I'm not signing up for a membership. This is just what I'm thinking. That's my de
Right.
facto position. And I'm thinking most of you listening, that's your de facto position, right? You're gonna show up at the next retail hospitality event, and there might be something that they're prompting you to do something because well they've got statistics, they've got some background knowledge of if we can get them to enroll in the Target Red Card, we know they're going to spend XYZ more or come XYZ more times. So an app, in my opinion, all it is it's a tool that the top retail hospitality industries have learned to use to win the battle of the mind. Now where it sits on the phone may not be what actually is at play.
Okay.
What is at play was the brand, was the retail outfit, was the hospitality organization able to convince you to take a little bit of time, a little bit of space, engage, and create a profile. So in that order of events, you have established something different that an app does that other mediums do not do.
Okay. And so I guess maybe one of the things, and this might be one of the things that happened in the past that may or may not have made auto repair shop apps viable. To me, an app is something that I use like every day.
Okay.
And so like if I just look at the top third of the app,
Yeah, I'm looking with you. Yeah,
you know, for me it's Starbucks. Like I use Starbucks pretty much every day.
I got that on there. Yeah, yeah,
I've got my calendar on there. I've got a
yeah.
clock on there with the alarm. I've got my wallet, my calculator, maps.
I'm with you.
But then I've got, like Zoom, Google News, Gmail, those types of things on there. And then I've got, like, we're going to go to Vision tomorrow. So I had to check in on my United app. my Marriott Bonvoy. I got to make sure I get my points. So I guess to say all that, my question is this: like, how often does a customer that has app fueled and whatever? How often do they interact with the app? Is it weekly? Is
Yeah.
it like what
Oh,
does that look like?
absolutely. See, this is where we are at a total disadvantage, right? If and thankfully, I'm not going to let the disadvantage like ruin what we're doing with our clients. But the disadvantage you're talking about, Chris, is not. It's not even a disadvantage that starts with the app. It's a disadvantage that starts in our industry, right?
Okay,
If you just mentioned Starbucks,
right.
how many times do you buy coffee a year?
Oh my gosh! Like here, I can probably figure it out for you.
Even in a rhetorical sense, right? I think
Right.
yeah, like how many
Like
times do we buy coffee a year?
like from Starbucks, probably 156 times a year, and then e- every time I do that, my wife's with me, so it's 2 cups that we have together, or two whatever, or food or whatever. Yeah, I
Yep.
want to know how much I spend on Starbucks a year. Like I
Yeah.
like
Yes. So I think your pointed question is actually when you say it's a disadvantage of an app, I'm going to double down on what you said. I think it's a
okay,
disadvantage in our industry being a retail hospitality industry, a sector of that. That
okay,
so not only do we have the disadvantage as an app, that's just the symptom. The cause of that has nothing to do with apps. The cause
right,
of that is I might only go to my shop 3 times a year.
right,
So, having said that, then you could say all of the other marketing that we do as shops has the same disadvantage, right? Every
yeah,
marketing that Starbucks does, you might respond that day and go
right,
into Starbucks. So, I just don't think we can like. If that's true, Chris, I guess where I'm going I don't understand how that disadvantage rules out all of our other marketing choices. Every time we run a Google ad, every time we send a postcard, every time we do a newspaper ad, just pick your marketing medium. We are at a disadvantage. 100% disagree.
okay. I guess just for me is I guess I kind of figure I feel like my phone's a billboard space and everybody's
Mm,
like competing for space on my billboard.
yeah.
And so let's talk about like the apps. Like how long have apps been in the auto repair industry? Like do you know when it started?
Well, oh, that's a good question. I guess you'd go back to, I guess you'd say 2008. Yelp was one of the original
Okay.
Yelp was one of the original ones. And I know they made a huge push with auto shops to have their profile in a Yelp app. So
Okay.
I think they were one of the original 500 approved for the iPhone App Store.
Okay. And so my thinking on this is as shop owners, we're really, really great about signing up stuff and paying for stuff and then never pushing it out to the customer.
Sure.
And I feel like there might have been a push in the early on to get apps for shops for our customers, but then I don't feel like as owners we did a very good job of making sure that we were using them, communicating to customers how they were supposed to be used. So
Yeah.
so I guess tell us a little bit about App Fueled, and then tell us what the purpose of an app for a repair shop is.
Yeah. Oh, man, these are Chris. Thanks for keeping this going. Sometimes I can ramble. I like how pointed your questions are. On that one, the one that I think again, I'd have to get to the psychology. So, what is AppFueled attempting to do? So we are helping shops put their brand on their customer's phone. Now it's debatable, right? Is it going to be first or second or third page? I mean, we can't even know. Like, it's not even something we can know. But and then now the question is the why question though. Why? And so what we do is first of all, I'm gonna talk about the what not to do first. This is a key point. Anyone who invests in an app, if you don't build a retail, what I call a retail premium price and a member path, don't build an app.
Okay, so
Just
explain that to me real quick.
just
Like, what does
yeah,
that mean?
I'll get to the tactics of it, but the strategy is that the app is your best tool today, given on how consumers interact in a repeat buy environment, right? And you brought
Right.
it up. If you're doing Starbucks more than 5 times, you're getting their app. If you're on a United plane more than 5 times, you're getting their app. So we're messing around with our disadvantage that we have, but I don't think it's unconquerable. We're proving it's not. Although we have a disadvantage of 2 to 3 times a year, we can still conquer that disadvantage. But at the end of the day, it's being presented to the customer as you can check out today as a guest, or you can check out today as a member. The app facilitates the pathway, because if you think about it, you don't need an app for this. Like, I didn't choose
Right.
an app, right, Chris? I'm not the one choosing what is the modern day tool that customers use in a repeat buy environment. I didn't choose apps. Consumers chose that. Or the prophets and the visionaries of the world, Steve Jobs, chose that, right? However we got here, as consumers today, we choose app for repeat buy experiences. And that's if we like the brand, right? So you got to check off
Right.
1,000 things, right? Like
Okay.
if I go to Chick-fil-A and I hated the service and I didn't think I was going back, even if I was getting a free chicken sandwich and amazing, whatever's coming up awesome out of that menu, I'm not downloading the app. So like the app, again, it works like I'm saying, it's not Chuck Norris, it's not James Bond, it's more of Green Beret. It's a force multiplier tactic. It's
Okay.
that in your choices to go member versus non-member,
Okay.
would the app be the tool for that?
Right. And so I think I understand this a little bit better now. I never heard of that. So in my mind, I was like, every customer that walks in the door gets the app, or we present it to everybody. But really what I'm hearing from you is the app is a one-off. You have to be part of the cool kids club to have the app, be a member, almost kind of like Patreon is for some places, would you say?
Well, I don't think I explained it right then.
Okay.
It's definitely not a one off.
Okay.
It's you create a retail pricing strategy so that every single ticket your customer has a loyalty ladder option they could take. See,
Okay.
if every single ticket, if every single time you booked an appointment, if every single time you got printed material, there was the member pathway versus the guest, then it's definitely
Right.
not a one-off. It's in the culture and the DNA of your shop. You're going to have
Okay.
a guest pathway and you're going to have a member pathway.
Okay. And
Yep.
so what do those pathways look like?
Well, for us at least, we're facilitating it. The app is step one. Just download the app, right? Just download the app. Now, why would I have done that? Because I would have been presented an opportunity to check out today as a guest or as a member. And so
Right.
the way we tackle this is apps cost money. They're not free, right?
Right.
And just like anything else you do, if you're going to add in extra value and you're going to provide something of convenience and make your business better in some way, it costs you money. So our recommendation is that rather than discounting members, raise your pricing board and create a retail price that's your guests pay. And what's staggering is I'm going on 4 years of case studies of this. Our clients still today get about half of their customers to choose a higher price.
Okay.
Isn't that awesome? I mean,
Yeah.
it's proving to us that price is not what we think it is.
Right.
Our clients even present it on every single ticket: member price, retail price, and about half of the customers go, you know what? Kind of like you and I are saying, our de facto position is we don't want to join your member program. We don't want to download your price. And so the way we coach our clients is that's a great maneuver right there. What a brilliant way to let your customer tell you, do they care about price or do they care about convenience?
Wow. So this is really interesting. I'm still trying to wrap my head around this. So what is the advantage of being a member versus a guest?
Well, that
Like,
is up to our clients, but it starts there that they have a retail price and a member price. So if I
right.
was quoted $330 today as a retail, or Mr. Customer, here's this QR code. You could be in there as a member. It can unlock XYZ, and on that ticket is now $300. Now, did they just give away $30? No, absolutely not. They invested in a member program that has these perks. They've calculated what that is, and they have a higher retail price. So the
Right.
330 for the half of the people that are like you and me, oh, de facto, that's not going to be on my homepage. I'm not going to use an app. I may not be coming back. Guess what? We just paid $30 more. And we're totally fine with that. Consumers make this choice all day long.
Right. I guess one of the things is I need to go to a webinar that you have and see like how this is played out. So anybody that's listening, if there's an app field webinar, go out, listen to it, watch it so that you can understand this and make it go a little bit better.
Yeah. Yeah. But Chris, you get it
So
though, right? It's at the ticket level and it's at the price level.
right.
And
Yeah, it's that.
this is why I say it doesn't have to be an app to like, choose your best medium to do that in.
Right.
I'm not choosing an app. That's just what I think consumers' preference is. But the
Right.
reality is, you could have a beautiful member card with a VIP logo. You could do like everything I'm talking about here is not app specific.
Right. And I guess, and so a couple things. I guess what I thought an app was more of like a customer retention tool. But this, I mean, it can be, but it's not
Oh yeah.
really.
Oh, that's interesting. So why is that? Why do you think the way I've described it would be not a retention tool?
Well, I think of a retention tool as something that sends follow up, and I'm sure you probably do all this, but I'm just trying to again wrap my head around how you do it. It sends follow up. It sends a request for a review. It sends like declined services and stuff like that out. So, do you do that? And if so, how does that work in the framework of everything?
Yeah, great question. And so 9 years ago, when we set out this is why we named ourselves App Fueled. We are a CRM. So I'm operating under a premise that's now 9 years old, and my mind's never been changed. I
Okay.
think 5 years from now, if you are a CRM, you will have a mobile app as part of your extension of what a CRM is.
Okay.
So although we're titled App Fueled, we are a CRM.
Okay.
Texting, emailing, phone calling. And this is my vision going back 9 years. Why be a CRM that ignores push notification and app alerts?
Right.
Why
Well,
are we going to leave those out of the communication spectrum?
and I will tell you a weird thing about me. The one thing that I do know about apps is I'm the guy that can't stand to have an email that hasn't been looked at, or if the notification comes up on mine, I
Yeah.
tap it to get rid of it. So I see everything immediately just because I want to tap it and get rid of it. And then if it's important, then fine, I'll look at it. But if not, then it goes away. Um, and then so okay,
Or are
so
you
I'm
an
gonna throw a
Apple
little
user? Just curious, just for the tech side of things, are you an Apple or Android?
very new Apple user.
Very
Like,
new. So did you
yeah,
know inside those push alerts on the developer backend, we have 4 categories for every template we have?
no, I didn't
So
know that.
you have time sensitive, you have critical, you have passive, and you have silent.
Okay.
So I'm with you on that. And I think something of our 80 to 90 workflows in our CRM on the back end, each one on the push notification side can be determined on where it sits. For example, appointment reminder. I would say that's time sensitive. That should not be a passive notification.
Right.
Now, maybe your Valentine's Day special that you blast out, we recommend that one should be passive. That's not the kind of thing where if I go to your shop twice a year, do I really want to get your Valentine's Day push notification right up there with the text from my mom? I think
Right.
not. So I'm with you on that. We think this is some of the beauty of a CRM that's extended to the push notification realm, because unlike texts that have no criteria, if it's a text, it's a text, it's a text. But if it's a push notification, it's time sensitive, it's
Right.
critical, and it's passive.
Right. So, wow. So if we think about, well, I'm gonna throw some dirt at TechMetric here just because I can. Because we talked about this earlier. TechMetric, why in the hell can't you make all your integrations alphabetical? I'm just saying, like it'd be much easier to figure out the one I want if I could. So we'll get into some more stuff later, but I want to ask this question. I
Yeah,
use TechMetric, and TechMetric is probably the number one growing shop management system out there by leaps and bounds. So
what I've heard.
how does App Fueled? This might be a three-part question, but
Okay.
so how does App Fueled work within TechMetric? And then if we're using AppFueled as our only CRM, how does that work if somebody doesn't download the app?
Okay. So, okay, let's see if I can hit this. Okay. First question is, how does it work with TechMetric? Is that
Correct.
right?
Yep.
That's it's essentially it's live time. So we use the callback URL, right? The webhook concept. So repair orders, contact information, appointments, vehicles. That's live time update on our side because we've got a portal for the advisors. So if a visit is in progress, they can see the same thing over on our side. If an
Okay.
appointment's already booked, they can see that. So, and in addition, we're not just sharing it to advisors because we build the apps. We have to have that same information be 100% accurate and updated because it's hitting the app to the consumer. Now, maybe onto one of your retention questions, that is service history appearing in the app. So your past tickets, your past declined items, your upcoming appointments, we have to have that data like 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 that because we don't know if the consumer is viewing the app right now. So that's how it's working. Because we have a booking tool, we have a widget for websites, because we have Google Book Reserve now. I mean, we're working with TechMetric like a CRM should.
Right. Okay. So you have like the online booking, you have the CRM. So here's my next level of that question. If I'm using AppField as my only CRM, or would you recommend me to use you as my only CRM?
3 weeks ago, for 8 years and 11 months, my answer was never fully yes to that.
Okay. All
but
right.
now, so that's just me being like, if you guys get to know me, I try to be the most, I don't know how to say this, non-misleading person that I can be.
Okay.
And I have never attempted to tell people that we're really a CRM, that you could turn off your other CRM.
Okay.
Even though in my mind's eye, that's the purpose we are what we are. We are a CRM. Because I just know everybody has certain things they wanted from their CRM. One of those was a two-way booking.
Right.
And the second one, thanks to Google's amazing path forward with their Google Book Reserve now, that also became it. So until we just got approved 3 weeks ago as a certified Google Book Reserve Now button that we can offer to our clients, I hadn't fully told people. I said, well, you could, choice is yours. You can turn off your CRM if you want. But today, as of 3 to 4 weeks, we do say, yes, you could turn off your other CRM if you wanted to. But again, that's not picking on the other CRMs. We may not have some of the things you like about that CRM. So even then, that's me not trying to mislead people. But for 8 out of 10 people I talk to, for the things they like from a CRM, someone could turn off their other CRM and they could use AppField. And
Right.
that,
Okay.
that's that. And to answer your question very specifically, even if they never knew about the app or touched the app, we operate as a CRM.
Okay.
Email
So
and
that
email
was
and
that
texting.
was going to be that was my second part of that
Yes.
question was if no if people don't out if people don't download the app, how does app fueled work? And it sounds like people can download the app or not download the app.
Yeah.
There's different parts and pieces to that.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. What we've
Okay.
discovered, and we were that way all along, is like, oh man, like that appointment reminder should go by text whether they downloaded the app or not. I mean, absolutely. It'd be the same way, right? And this is where I think AppFuel does stand alone on this concept, in that I would say the same thing for email and text. Like that to me, that's like asking that question: can you send a text without sending the email? That's how intercombined I view these mediums.
Right. Interesting. Okay. So I did notice when I looked on TechMetric, when I finally scrolled down all the way down through the page and found it, that there's a app fuel version 0 or 1.0 and a version 2.0. What's the difference? Is one eventually going to go away, or can you pick one
Yeah, I
versus the
can
other,
answer
or
that
what
one
is it?
super quickly. There's an amazing guy out there. If any of you know him, Anders, he built the original Full Throttle, a spectacular tool. I think it's been used by the thousands around the industry. They were purchased by Motor, and
Okay.
that was our original integration we had with a lot of shop management systems. So Motor bought that. Basically, Anders' dream child is the way I understand it, and Motor still exists today. Of course, we all know Motor for Motor, but that product today is called Campaign Connect, and a
Okay.
lot of the technology companies had been using that software to get the data once a day. And so that was our 1.0. That was our entry into the space for most, and for half of the shop management systems out there, that's still the one that we would use, because we
Okay.
have not built a direct two-way API yet, like we've done with TechMetric and ProTracker,
Right.
yada yada. So
Okay.
that 1.0, in fact, we don't want anyone to flip that on. There
Okay.
would be no reason to use 1.0 in TechMetric right now.
Well, and I was going to look. I don't think you can if I.
And even if you did
Um,
flip it on, it doesn't matter on the back end for us. As long as we get the green light and it's
right.
authorized, we're going to be using 2.0.
2.0. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. It looks like you can hit the manage button on both of them or whatever and get in
yeah,
there.
yeah,
But
yeah.
interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
But back to the
what?
if I could, Chris, I could just answer it. And I like to just provide the best evidence that I can of this. I love to let people make choices. And I know, back to that CRM question, we
Right.
know that a program like Steer or even AutoOps, or, now combined, or, take the My Shop Manager or the Kukuis, we have a lot of clients that even now that I feel like we've kind of rounded out what it means to be a CRM, they still use our app in our loyalty side of things, and they flip off our CRM functionality. So we have apps
Okay.
we've built that have a auto ops scheduler in the app. And so we try to be as like, what works for you as an owner? Like, what are you finding in the auto ops program we don't have, or in the Steer? And then if you prefer, AppFuel be technically your app builder platform that you use that runs your rewards, rebates, membership, birthday club. Those two can come together. So I
Right.
didn't want to say it as strongly as maybe it came across, that like we're trying to tell everyone, ditch your CRM and go with AppFuel as a CRM. I just don't view it that way. I just know everyone's got their unique needs and what matters to their shop.
Right. And I think, I mean, there's just one of the issues I have with the industries as a shop owner. There's so much overlap in what some people do versus the other, and
Yeah.
it would be great to find platform or platforms where I didn't have to have 3 or 4 subscriptions to do one thing. When like this first one, I only use 50% of what they do, but then the next one I only use 30% of what they do because the rest overlaps with 2 others to get those pieces.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so one of the questions I have is, if I'm a customer or a shop owner and I have somebody download the app, is it do I find that on the in Apple as App Fueled app, or is it like Firestone of Durango app, or
Mhm.
what does that look like?
Yeah. We do the best we can at being invisible. So
Okay.
we try to make it look like it's the shop. And in fact, in Apple's case, our clients have to get their own Apple developer account.
Oh, okay. And then go in and do that.
So
Interesting.
the apps have our clients' names, their icons, their logos, their screenshots, and we're behind the scenes.
Well, because a lot of the ones I've seen is, okay, we have an app, but it's the app company's name, and you have to go in there and click on that, and then
Yeah,
go into that, and then it's just confusing to the customer. Like, why am I doing this or
yeah,
that when so
yeah.
that's interesting. Okay,
And in fact, we even, I'm with you on that, Chris. In fact, I thought one of the biggest, we just solved it a couple months ago. One of the biggest pain points we were finding was, let's say we send a text, right, to a CRM customer, and it's got what we call the app URL, right, in the text. So
right,
we've even been bringing in deep links into the app to avoid even some of that confusion of where the customer is going to. So, for example, we just launched this. It's revolutionary in what it's doing. It's Amazon Visit Tracker. And if a text goes out, the customer clicks on it. If they don't have the app, guess what? It opens in the browser. If they have the app, it opens in the custom app. So
right,
we're using the technology to determine where the customer is, just the deep link in the app. So it's a beautiful, because you mentioned, well, if the app maybe isn't on the first screen, am I even going to remember that I had it? So what we were trying to accommodate was, well, in those cases where the reminder's going, the deferred service email, and you click on that, or just picture those other mediums that you're responding to. When you respond to those, where is it going to take you? And so
right,
we believe that's the moment to put back in front of them their membership choice they made, the service history visibility, the already logged in because we got Touch ID, Face ID. That convenience to go right from a text to you're already in your logged in profile on that custom app. So that's why we wanted it to look like the shop, because we didn't want
okay,
that weird moment where, wait, where am I? What's this app field? Like I don't know. I never dreamed of that being what this was about. Was confusion.
right. S- um, so looking forward and not giving any company secrets away, or if you can be vague, then that's fine. Where do you see App Fueled in 18 months from now?
Well, hopefully it's a continuation of this story of we're the green beret, we're the force multiplier. And so, like, I'm going next week to talk to a group of precision tune owners. They asked me to come speak about the wow factor, and
Okay.
it's right up there with what's going on. And I believe where we're all headed. Our mediums have to work together. They can't be one offs and not connected. If you believe in a loyalty ladder, if you
Right.
believe that a customer that's done, say, these, I'll give you six of them, created a profile, uploaded a selfie, managed their vehicle, set the recall alerts on, turned on a push notification, joined a birthday club, and opted into a membership. If we have the statistics that that customer spends $400 more a year than customers that don't, that's the pathway that if you believe in it, then all of your wow factor moments, entering into the lobby should have a beautiful pop-up with a QR code. On the counter should have the idea of, are you a member? Check out today as a member and you get this. On your postcards that go out with specials, app only savings $5 more, use this promo code. So I
Okay.
believe it's a force multiplier in that,
Right.
unlike just a one-off download this app and forget about it. Oh, no way. It's every single touch point. If you believe that customers going on this path will spend more at your shop and come back more often, then you will use every interaction point you can to get them to climb the loyalty ladder. So that's where I believe we're going to be, is that that's going to come to its fruition, whether it's a text, a postcard, because we're building it into that, whether it's a oil change sticker, whether it's the rack card put in the car when it drives away asking for a review. Every moment is going to be that moment of, you could have been a member, or, oh, we're so glad you are a member. So does
Right.
that, so I just think it's going to be a continuation of, wow, why have we left this medium out of our industry? Why are we letting our disadvantages just hold us back? And I think the wave is just building and coming on that one.
Well, and I see a huge advantage of having that, and like how, like I'm trying to think of like how would I use it in my shop. Um, one thing we could do is we do tires, so we could send out like, okay, if you're a member, you get this discount on your tires or your tire swap or whatever. We also use Bridgestone. We're an affiliated dealer, so we use the CFNA card for like
Right on.
financing and all of that stuff. So it's interesting. I also have a shop that I work with, one of the ones that I coach. They're talking about they've had a club for years. People opt in, they pay extra for it, and um, they get this whole list of perks because they're members, but they don't have any way to like share that, put it out. They don't have a way to make it exclusive or anything like that. And I see that app and app field would be a way to make that exclusive if they wanted to,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
or build that into it. So
Yeah,
very
and
interesting.
thanks for saying that, Chris. That's why I'm a huge believer in this. It's not that we've invented a way to do that, right? Like, that shop is already running sounds like a fine-tuned club experience. We're just operating under the premise that in today's world, for that repeat experience, whatever it is, consumers are choosing apps for it. Now,
Right.
that's kind of the battle that we're in a sense. It's like, can we prove it in our industry? And just to give you a little bit of statistics, guys, if you're listening, it's totally possible. Like I said, we're hovering around the 48 to 49% in our top clients. So if they've got 300 tickets a month, that's the level of engagement they're getting.
Right.
So it's absolute. Like, I think in the old days when apps first came out, because there wasn't a strategy, nobody knew the tactics, and the apps weren't being used to win this psychological war. Nobody was downloading the apps, and we all gave up on them. But I think we can put that to rest. I mean, we're going on, like I said, 9 years since we truly became the app builder. Now our clients that are absorbing this strategy, when you can get 50% of your tickets are what I call member engaged. Oh, we're so that's what excites me.
Well, and I think what happened is originally people were like, "Oh, everybody should have an app. Let's go sell all these apps," and then
Oh
there was no follow up. Um,
yeah, and it
and
was like,
it's
oh, yeah, yeah. Go ahead. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
no, there's a saying I've heard in the industry, and I won't name the company that's associated with, but the saying was, "This shit's for selling, not using," and so that kind of reminds me of what that was back in the beginning. Is like, okay, well, we're gonna sell it, but nobody will ever use it, so it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
So very interesting. So I also, um, we'll just kind of wrap this up. I want to be mindful of your time and everything a little bit, but I noticed you mentioned the Green Berets quite a bit, and I noticed next to the picture of your mom and dad, I can barely see the patch, but
Oh,
I can't make it out. So you got to show that. And
oh, this is not mine. Absolutely not. This is my older brother's gift to me. He was a Green Beret, 20 years, sniper,
okay,
served in Afghanistan. So this thing sits here just as, and yes, he comes to mind often. But what he
okay,
told me about force multiplier, I'll never forget that. What that meant, that you could have one special forces and if you're in another country, you have an army of 200 if you let them get to work. So
right, awesome. And then is he still with us? Still living?
oh, yes, he absolutely is.
Okay,
Yeah, just
awesome. Good.
yes, and everything he does, he's tackled. Like, so you know what I mean. You have people in your life that you just go, if I could be like that. So,
Right. Well, awesome. So shout out to Big Brother,
yep, name's
and
Aaron. Yep, served in the
uh,
forces. Yeah.
there you go. So good. So what final thoughts do you have? And if somebody wants to see a demo of AppField or whatever, how do they do that?
Well, thankfully, this is, I call it a startup that's 16-year-old startup. So if you book a demo, it's with me, guys. And I love to get, if you guys can tell, I'm a little bit passionate about the topic. So you just go to appfuel.com/Jeremy, pick a time, let's talk. Usually, most people, Chris, this is what I find amazing. There's so many people that already have a vision for an app. It's just a
Right.
matter of implementation. And
Right.
so I hate to break everybody's hearts. Typically, what happens as it goes, someone will get into a call and then, but Jeremy, can I do this and can do that? And it's like, do this. It's like, here's my promise to you. Try the strategies out. See if that customer that does these 6 or 7 things, are they twice as likely to come back and do they spend more money? And that's kind of where we're at right now. And I love to see the vision, and we try to come alongside that. And one of the ways, and I kind of go, I think if I'm answering your question right, where we're headed now is back to phones. It's amazing how phones, in combination with these other great CRM tools of texting and email and push notifications, and you pair that up with perfectly timed phone calls. Oh, and that's kind of where AppField's at right now too, is arming the advisor with the exact moment of when to call that customer and to have the collective of of how that customer engaged with your shop. So yeah, it's
I think
appfuel.com /Jeremy, book a time with me. And I love to see where people are at. Like, what are they trying to do? What are they trying to do with an app?
I think it's interesting that you said using the phone, because I just did. I think it's the episode that just came out or the episode before last, where we've relied on technology a lot, but people are just bombarded with technology all the time. So I think there's a good place and time for the phone, and then a good time and place for the other stuff. But you got to figure out when to use it
Yeah.
and how to use it for sure.
Yes. Yeah.
So this has been a great interview. We're like almost 45 minutes. I don't know
Oh,
if we're gonna.
are we? See, I
I don't
rambled. I
know.
warned it.
Well, the problem is I'm a rambler too. So how we're not 3 hours into this already, I don't know. I mean, I think we've done pretty good. We might even bust this one into 2 episodes. But
Yeah.
thanks for taking time out of your busy day. I know you've got a lot of stuff going on. Sounds like you're going to make a presentation, and this time of year is, of course, all the trade shows and everything else. Like this will come out after Vision, but tomorrow
Okay.
I'll be on a plane headed to Kansas City to teach a class and whatever there. So if you're listening,
More
yeah,
power to you. Yeah, Chris. And thing, I'll just tell you, it's just an honor to be on and be invited to be on here, because I know for us, we go nowhere. AppFuel goes nowhere without great business coaching. So,
well, thank you for that. We didn't even talk about that hardly, but I really appreciate it. So yeah, everybody, if you're interested, give Jeremy a call. He already gave you the information for that. And have a great day, Jeremy. Thanks for being on, and we'll see you around the way somewhere.
all right. Thanks again, Chris, and all your listeners. Bye.